Hi everyone, this video is all about ABC or antecedent behavior consequence data collection. We'll talk about what it is, when you might want to use it, why it's important, then I'll give you two examples of what ABC data collection might look like with your students. So in terms of what it is, think ABC antecedent behavior consequence. Antecedent is a quick trigger to a problem behavior. What happens immediately before a problem behavior? Maybe it's being asked to transition from a preferred to a non-preferred activity. Maybe it's being prompted to complete a task demand. Maybe it's being redirected or corrected in the classroom. Those are all examples of potential antecedents. Okay, then we have our target behavior, and then we have our consequence. What's the student accessing or avoiding immediately after engaging in that behavior? Maybe they're accessing attention, tangibles, preferred items, and activities. Okay, maybe they're avoiding or altogether escaping attention. Maybe they're avoiding or altogether escaping task demands, aversive sensory stimuli. So that's ABC data collection, what's happening right before the behavior, and what happens immediately after the behavior. That's what we are documenting through ABC data collection. So that's what it is in terms of when you would want to use it if we're not quite sure what's the function of the behavior. In other words, what's a root source of reinforcement? What's maintaining rates of that problem behavior? What's the student accessing or avoiding that is maintaining and increasing rates of that behavior? That's when we would want to collect ABC data collection. If we already know why that behavior is occurring, let's say we conducted a behavior assessment and we know that behavior is maintained by access to attention, there's really no need to collect ABC data because we already know what is maintaining that behavior. But if we're not quite sure what's maintaining that behavior, ABC data collection is really, really valuable. In terms of why it matters, think in the world of behavior, behavior goes where reinforcement flows. So if we can pinpoint the source of reinforcement through ABC data collection, we can adapt reinforcement contingencies to where students are accessing reinforcement contingent on the absence of problem behaviors or the occurrence of desired behaviors, and not accessing as much through problem behavior. So that's why ABC data collection can be so beneficial to help us with shifting reinforcement contingencies, adapting our environment to better meet student needs. Okay, in terms of two examples of how you might use ABC data collection in your classroom, the first one is ABC narrative recording. Okay, that's when you write out by hand or typing it out, either one is fine, what's happening before and after problem behaviors. And if you're thinking to yourself, as a classroom teacher, will I have time to write out everything that's happening before and after problem behaviors? Maybe not. Honestly, I used ABC narrative recording when I was a behavior specialist and I was in the back of the room observing a student because I didn't have to provide instruction for the rest of the students. I was just there observing one student. So it was really easy for me to write out what's happening before and after the behavior using ABC narrative recording. But if you're thinking, I'm a classroom teacher, I've got 30 students in my class, there's no way I'll have time to write that out. I understand, honestly, during my days as a classroom teacher, I don't know if I could have kept up with ABC narrative recording either. So ABC continuous recording can be a really viable alternative to ABC narrative recording. If you're thinking, I'm not going to have time to document what's happening before and afterwards. So with ABC continuous recording, what we do is we have checklists of common antecedents and common consequences. So rather than writing out what's happening before and after problem behaviors, we just check a box. Okay, and if you're wondering how you figure out what antecedents and consequences we could include on an ABC continuous recording sheet, think previous classroom observations, interviews, conversations with students, educators, family members, questionnaires, surveys, different things like that. We can use that information to obtain information related to common antecedents and common consequences associated with problem behavior. So using ABC continuous recording, we're not writing out what's happening before and afterwards. We're just checking boxes indicating what happened before and after problem behaviors. And again, through ABC data collection, the goal behind that is patterns will emerge over time. What is that student consistently accessing or avoiding? In other words, what are the common consequences associated with that problem behavior? That's a good indicator that that is a source of reinforcement, maintaining problem behaviors.